Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I hope everybody is having an unbelievable day. I am excited about the possibilities. I wake up every morning excited about what's out there. I know there are going to be challenges. I know there are going to be setbacks. I know there are going to be obstacles and other types of illusions that are meant to distract me and pull me away from what I'm designed to do, what I have purposed in my heart to do. That's a part of the game. So I don't wake up with that on my mind. I wake up with what am I going to take on today? What am I going to do that's going to not only satisfy my desire, my needs, but meet the needs of other people? How am I going to elevate my impact? What am I going to do? See, it's real simple when you understand the dynamics of business. At the end of the day, I've explained them to you in a number of different ways. I've told you how to set up a business and how to do a lot of different things, in from the mental side of it to the structural and strategic and planning side of it. It all has a place, but at the end of the day, it's real simple. You can simplify it and say, look, my goal is to help people, and when I help people, I will receive money. The more people I help, the more money I earn. And then you can mechanize that. And when you mechanize it, now you're in a situation where you don't have to be present, so there's no limit or cap on how much you can earn. But when you focus on money first, you lose sight of your real true purpose. Your purpose isn't to make money. Your purpose is to have an impact on the world. You are rewarded in many different ways, of which only one is currency or compensation. And so it's really important not to lose yourself in chasing money. If you chase it hard enough and you learn the rules of money, you'll get it, but you'll be empty, you'll be miserable, and you'll lose it. It's that simple. When you learn that your focus should be on helping people and touching lives, the money will come because you're expressing your value to the world, and you're showing the world how you can aid them. And there are people out there who need solutions that you have the capacity to provide. The problem is we get caught up in short-term thinking. And so we're going to talk about why you don't need to compare yourself to other people and their journey, their walk, their rise, their success. And we're going to do that. But before we do, we just want to remind you, if you haven't got my book, Critical Mass, a lot of how you advance in life is explained in that in very understandable text and verbiage. You definitely need that. That's the 20th book that I've written and published. It is the first in a series of 6 books that's totally dedicated to personal growth, personal development, personal empowerment. The second, which is on deck now, is I Am, the Power of Self-Talk and Self-Declaration. And you can order that one as well. I don't think I have the link in there for that, but we'll get it out some other time. Today, also, what I want to talk to you about is I've just launched a digital business launch masterclass. And it is based on my experience as a digital entrepreneur. Not the stuff I've done in things, investment and all that stuff, not that, but specifically how I've earned money online since as far back as 2003, but definitely since 2010. And so it's going to show you how you can launch a digital business. And this isn't a specific business. This isn't about saying, hey, do this or do that. I'm not selling a business. I'm not trying to get anybody to go into business or promote something I'm doing. My sole purpose in this masterclass is to help you identify your gift and see how your gift would fit into the digital world, show you how to launch a digital business with very little startup capital. In most instances, you can start this and launch this business with less than $1,000. Matter of fact, in some instances, less than 100. That doesn't include the cost of the class, which is unbelievable, and it will definitely not stay at the price it's at now. But if you could start a business that within the first 30 to 60 days would pay for any investment that you put into it, including the class, I think it would be worth it. I have businesses that are totally on autopilot. I started them. I propagated them. I set them on autopilot. I go back and check every now and then, and it's there. I'm not going to tell you I'm making mad crazy cash on those autopilots, but for something that I never have to mess with, or I can go back every blue moon and add a little something to it, and it's still producing, that's great. Now, there are things that I'm making significant money on digitally, but I'm directly invested in it. People are dealing with me directly on that, but it's wide open. I'm going to show you the mechanisms of what it takes. And it doesn't take a lot, and you don't have to be a technical genius to make it happen. Things are set up now to where it can be done quickly. There are multiple platforms on which you can launch your idea, and most of them will allow you to launch for free. And if not, there are some free platforms where you can build it yourself for a little or nothing and go out there and make it happen. I mean, you don't even have to buy a domain name if you don't want to. Now, I suggest it because it's more professional. I suggest it because, but I've got businesses out there that are operating on free platforms like Weebly, Wix, the Blogspot, which is by Google. That's a very good one. The reason Blogspot is good is because it's owned by Google. Google is the largest search engine in the world. It also owns the second largest search engine in the world, which is YouTube. And because of that, it's going to rank content on those sites higher because it controls them. And so we're going to learn all of that, and it's a great opportunity. If you want to be a part of the masterclass, look in there and there's an email address. Email me directly. This isn't something that I've decided to actually put on the site yet. This is something that I'm going to manage personally because I want to deal with each person individually. But if you want to enroll in the Digital Business Launch Masterclass and literally learn how to take your genius, your talent, your unique expertise, and everybody has it. I don't care where you're at in life. You do. Will you probably have to refine it? Yes. Will you probably have to learn more about certain things? Absolutely. That's a part of becoming. That's a part of growing. That's a part of developing into. That's how you get what you want. You don't get things in life because you want it. You get it because you become it. You become whatever it is necessary to have the things you desire, the things that you see yourself with. You have to become it. If you want to be a chef, you know, it's not in trying to find enough money to start a restaurant. It's in developing an understanding of how you have to operate as a cook in a professional environment, as the lead cook in a restaurant environment, how that looks, what happens, what goes into it. It's so much more than recipes. You know, I've helped people actually do that. It's so much more than recipes. It's understanding the business side. It's understanding inventory. It's understanding how to work with staff. It's understanding all of that. But there are courses you can take. There are books you can read. There are online resources that'll help you develop that. You can become, and this is without the whole culinary school thing. This is about learning and developing and creating your own space, because you can actually start your own business without having to go to culinary school and be declared a chef and then work your way up to becoming blah, 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 to ultimately being a master chef. You can do it in a number of different ways, but ultimately you've got to be willing to develop. So with that being said, if you want to be a part of that, email me directly. We'll talk, we'll go through it. You decide to sign up, we'll get you signed up, and we'll get you started. And this is not going to be something that's going to drag out. Within the first week, you're going to have everything you need in order to do that. And then the next 3 weeks is simply going to be me walking you through it, providing the support and the know-how, and watching you work it. And so that is that. Now, on to what we're talking about. This is Business Minded Thursday. Stop comparing yourself to others. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is comparing themselves to other people. They say, okay, I'm going to do this. And then they look up, and I've been doing this now for 3 years. I've been doing it for 4 years. And then I look over there and John is just taking off, and John is doing this and John is doing that. You are not in competition with John, and you can't compare yourself with John. John may be doing the same thing you're doing, but he's doing it based off of his experiences. He's doing it based off of his expertise. He's doing it based off of his starting platform. You got to remember, you can't measure yourself against John for so many different reasons. Number one, John didn't start where you started. John may not have the same support system. John's support system may be better. John's understanding of the initial dynamic may be better. Your goal is not to measure yourself. Your goal is to look at people who are successful and see the elements of their success, not to measure yourself against them, but to see how they got where they are, to study them, to ask them, will they mentor you? Will they talk with you? Will they sit down with you? And in some cases, you may have to pay them for what they're giving you. It's worth it. If they went out and earned it, it's worth it. Now, you may know some people who know you and will sit down and chop it up with you solely based off of the fact they know you. And that's great, but you got to tap into different places, but never measure yourself. Never compare yourself to somebody else. Why? Because that's their journey, not yours. There's a saying in the religious world that you don't know the story behind my glory. And it has a whole ring of truth to it. We love to look at who people are and go, wow, why can't I be like that? Why can't I have that? Are you willing to go through what they've gone through to get it? Is the question. It's not about whether you can have it or not. You can absolutely have it. Life will pay whatever price you demand of it. But the problem is most people don't want to meet the counter demand. When you place a demand on life, life is going to say, I got you. If you place a demand on life, God is going to say, it's yours. If it's something that is good, that will bless you, that will bless other people in your life and in your periphery, and you sit up and you place a demand on life, God says, I got you. But then here comes the counter demand. Okay, you're going to stop needing to putting in so much time over here, and you're going to have to invest your time over here. You're going to have to stop blowing your money on material things, and you're going to have to invest in your business, invest in your idea, invest in yourself. You're going to have to, okay, my demand on life is I want a better marriage. And I've actually had to counsel people on this and watch how hard it is for them to really get the understanding and get there. I want a better marriage. I want my marriage with my wife and my husband to be better. And then life and God says, I got you. You can have a better marriage, but you're going to have to stop spending so much time with your friends and invest more time with your wife. You're going to have to stop sharing all of your husband's weaknesses and secrets with your friends and start praying with him, praying for him, and walking with him and holding him up as he grows. And see, a lot of us aren't ready to meet those demands. See, I want a good marriage, but I still want to hang out with my boys 4 times a week. You can't have a good marriage and hang out with your boys 4 times a week. That is not how it works. You're going to have to tell your boys, I have a new commitment. I have a new standard. I'm doing some new things. And so I'm not going to be able to give you guys as much time. We'll hang out once a month. We're going to have a ball when we hang out, but we can't hang out 4 times a week because that time belongs to my wife. That belongs to my household. That belongs to my marriage. And it's like that in anything you want. If you want it to be prime, you got to invest in it. You got to take some things that you are doing that are not conducive to what you say you want and push them to the side, release them, let them go. See, it's not that you can't have what you see other people have. It's that, are you willing to sit up and have the mindset to do what is required of you to do? Here's something else. It's a saying that my mentor said to me 30 years ago. It's not that you can't have what you see others have. It's not that you can't have what you see me have. It's not that because you are Black and you are from a low-income environment that you're stuck there. That's absolutely false. That's a false narrative. That's an illusion. That's a lie. Don't buy into it. Here's the thing. In order to have what most people don't have, you're going to have to be willing to do what most people won't do. You can't wake up and do what everybody else is doing and get what they don't have. If you want what the few have, you got to do what the few are doing. And the few are doing way more than what the vast majority of people doing. The few are waking up earlier. The few are working harder. The few are optimizing their time. The few are planting seeds of prosperity instead of waiting, wishing, hoping, and praying for it. They are investing themselves into in the way of thinking, in the way of earning, in the way of management, in the way of handling their responsibilities. That's how they are operating. Are you willing to do it? Are you willing to step outside the status quo that says this is how you do it, and yet nobody that's doing that has done it yet, and start doing it the way that people who have done it are doing it? Are you willing to take on the discomfort that comes with shifting paradigms, shifting your thinking, changing your environment, and moving and operating in a different place? Where a lot of people are not going to support you, a lot of people are not going to believe in you, some people are going to talk behind your back and a bunch of other things, but that's where it's happening at. Are you willing to do that? Stop measuring yourself against the people who are there and saying they got it and I don't. Start looking at how they got it and saying, well, I'm not doing that. Well, they talk different than I talk. When I watch successful people and they're in their conversations are different than me and my friends and what we're talking about. Yeah, you and your friends are sitting up talking about how horrible things are, how bad things are, how broke you are, how hard it is, and all of these other things that simply tighten the noose around your neck. Why? Because no matter whether you are a Christian believer, whether you're Buddhist, whether you're Hindu, whatever it is, there's something in your faith that says that you got to be careful of what you declare. In the book of Job for Christians, it says you shall declare a thing and it will be established. It didn't say a good thing, it said a thing. Whatever thing you are declaring with your mouth in your conversations, it's going to manifest itself in your life. You've got to be careful of what you're programming your mind with through your own self-talk. Find some people who have done it, pay attention to their conversations, and then you emulate. And there's a term that I don't necessarily like because it gives the impression of artificial reality. It says fake it till you make it. What it's really saying for the people who use it and actually have made it work for them, it's saying speak it till you have it. Walk like it until you have it. I mean, it's so many ways to play tricks on your mind. Your mind simply listens and watches you and determines by what you do, what you say, and how you behave, what the reality is. Did you know that your mind does not have the ability to distinguish between what is real and what you are imagining? Do you know you can literally imagine a reality long enough, big enough, strong enough till you'll start to manifest it because you told your mind you already done it? You know how easy it is to do something you've done once? The doubt is gone. See, once you sit up and you keep imagining and you keep speaking it, you call things that are not as though they were. You stop speaking your condition and you start speaking your destiny. When you start doing that, the brain says, I got this, I've done it before. The brain doesn't know that was an imagination. It sees it as real. It cannot determine the difference. Your subconscious mind cannot determine when you're imagining something and when you're actually doing it. The brain, as a person who has functioned as a sports psychologist and getting people to accomplish something, it's not in the physical issues where the challenges lie. It's in the mind. Whether it's free throw shooting, whether it's batting, whether it's golfing, whether it's tennis, whether it's sprinting, it's in the mind. If you can see yourself doing it perfectly over and over again, you will eventually emulate it through your body. You will overcome any mental barriers that says, I can't physically. You'll lift more. You'll drop your time in the 40. You'll improve your swing and your stroke. You'll improve your free throw shooting. All of this has been proven scientifically. This isn't something that I'm making up. This isn't some anecdotal observation. This is understanding the empirical data that says my mind is more powerful than my body. If I can make my mind see it, my body will achieve it. You got to think, everything that you see now that you take for granted was once considered impossible. The airplane, the car, the cell phone, smartphones. computers. All were once nothing but somebody's imagination, imagined idea, imagined thought. And everybody said that's crazy. Orville and Wilbur Wright were told they were absolutely out of their mind. You're never going to get a machine to fly. Millions of people jump on these things every day and ride them without ever thinking about the impossibility of what they're experiencing. Why? Because it was only impossible until someone did it. There's something in your life that you're going to do that the world thinks is impossible. What is it? What are you going to take on? When are you going to shake the limitations of your mind? To people all the time, the only limits you have in your life right now, please hear me. If you don't hear anything else I've spoken, the only limitations you have right now are the limits you have in your mind. The ones you have accepted in your mind. Once you accept the limitation in your mind, it's locked. You'll never overachieve it. You'll never rise above it. That's why I tell people all the time, God is only going to meet you at the level of your expectations. Why? You're never going to achieve anything beyond what you expect. You can wish for it all you want to, but you can't wish for it and then say it's impossible. Why? Because it's not coming. You're not going to have the right frame of mind. You're not going to be behaving the right way. You're not going to be moving toward it. You're not going to be expecting it. And it's not going to happen. You're going to have to learn how to override fear, anxiety, doubt. And you're going to have to learn how to stand in it. Because when you first start to speak it, it's not going to look like it sounds. It's not going to look like it. You got to keep speaking it. You got to speak it so much that the subconscious starts to believe it, because the subconscious will literally process how frequently certain things are being said. That's how you're being programmed by media right now. How do you think millions of people go into McDonald's every year and buy some of the nastiest freaking food you could ever freaking imagine? How do they stay number one and they got the worst food out of all the fast food restaurants? They got the best advertisement, the most prolific advertisement. They are everywhere. They're constantly pumping it into you. They got you believing it's great, it's good, it's awesome. And now you are in there buying it. Crap. And everybody, but that's not the only thing that they are, that's not the only thing that they're processing and propagating and programming into you. It's so many things that you got to guard your gates. Another reason why so many people fail at business is because they've heard more about how many businesses fail in the first 3 to 5 years than they heard about what perseverance will do in the presence of adversity. Why? So they're automatically already preparing themselves to fail. But see, what they didn't see when everybody's pumping this whole idea of more businesses fail than succeed, is how many people failed 2, 3, 4 times before they succeeded. How many people persevered until they won. See, it's not about hitting a home run the first time. It's about saying, I'm going to stay in the game until I win. It's about training yourself even in failure. One of the things that my mentor always told me, especially in the beginning, he says, you will never lose. He said, you'll have setbacks, you'll get knocked down, you're going to go through everything that anybody else in this world goes through, but you'll never lose. He says, because you've learned how to fail forward. And at first I didn't understand what he was saying. Like, what do you mean fail forward? He says, you have this idea and these visions of what's possible, and they are so huge that the average person is going to think they're crazy. They're going to think they're foolish. You're going to hear you're not being realistic a lot in your life, but you got these huge visions. And what happens is you set these goals based on these visions, and these goals are so huge that when you go after them, you don't hit them by the allotted time. You set a goal for 90 days and you go after it, and when you get to 90 days, you haven't hit the goal, but guess what you have done? You failed forward, because you are now 50 miles, $50 or $50,000, whatever it is, ahead of where you started. You've gotten way further than anybody else because you pushed the envelope so far that you're reaching for something so far beyond it that you're pulling yourself to it. And eventually you're going to keep failing until you get the original goal. And you're just going to keep pushing, and the next one and the next one. He says, you don't quit. Because you don't quit, you will never lose. You haven't lost until you quit. I tell people that about the stock market. I say, man, I bought so and so and so and so, and then it dropped so many dollars per unit, and now I've lost $500, I've lost $5,000, whatever it is. So you haven't lost until you liquidate. It's not until you sell your stock that you realize the loss. You've taken a drop in value, but you haven't lost yet because you still own the asset, the commodity. You still own it. Now, what will normally happen if you understand the stock market is that the market is going to recorrect itself. It's going to correct downward when it's inflated, when there are bubbles. It's going to get to a certain point and the market will automatically correct itself and prices will drop. And then you'll get to points where after the market has corrected itself and it's dropped and the prices are actually lower than what they should be, it will recorrect itself and the stocks will rise. You will regain what you lost in most instances, especially when you're investing in proven companies that have shown that they can navigate the volatility of the market. So you are not losing until you quit. That's something you've got to train yourself, that I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to let go. No, it's not going to always look like you want it to look. Sometimes it's going to be dire. Sometimes it's going to be looking like there's no hope, but there's always an answer. The mind of God is never stumped. Let me say that again. The mind of God is never stumped. And the mind of God, I tell myself every morning as a part of my meditation process, that the mind of God is in me, around me, and that I can call upon it for my slightest need. And then I tell myself at the end that the mind of God is in me and it's around me and that it serves me now. There's no answer that I seek that isn't on the way to me. None. So I might not have the answer now, but the answer's on its way. I don't become frenetic and unglued. I don't get shaken. I don't become, oh my God, no. The answer's on the way. I've got to be in a mindset in a state of high vibration in order to receive it, because God's not operating down here in fear, in worry, in anxiety, in stress. That's not what God's operating. You are missing the answer because you're playing around in the basement. You got to lift yourself and rise yourself. And even when you don't have the answer, even when everything looks like it's not going your way, you got to trust that the answer is there. Stop comparing yourself to others. That's a sign of insecurity. You're trying to validate what you have been chosen to do by watching what someone else is doing or has done. Your potential speaks for itself. Your design speaks for itself. You've got to learn how to trust it. Trust it when there's nothing. See, faith isn't faith when I can see how it's going to play out. That's not faith, that's reason, that's rationale. See, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things I cannot see. It's when it doesn't look like it's supposed to look that faith takes over. It's when everything is speaking against what I have claimed that faith takes over. It's not when I can see there and I can say, well, 5 times 5 is 25. And if I take that and multiply it times 4, that's 100. And if I do that 3 times, that's 300. And that's when I'll have it. That's not faith. That's reason. That simply needs action to be applied to it. You're going to have plenty of time you can use reason. So, man, that's simple. I can do that. And you put action to it. But see, faith is when there is no way to make reason of it, but you still believe it and you still have to put action to it. That's why so many people aren't rising to the level of their design. They're not using faith. They're still trying to reason and rationalize the things that require faith. Faith says, I can't see it, but I trust it, and I'm going to step out on it. I'm going to move toward it. And when I move toward it, God designed the universe in a way that says, if I move toward it, the universe will conspire with me to bring it to me. The universe doesn't have an option. The universe is always responding to your faith. The problem is a lot of your faith is more invested in failing than it is in winning. You've been trained to believe you're going to fail. And so your faith says it, and you're acting on it, and the universe is bringing it to you. You were designed to do great exploits. You were designed to do exceptional and extraordinary things. But you got to move toward it, even when you can't see it, even when it doesn't make sense. You can't tell me that when Orville and Wilbur Wright was sitting out there talking about flying, that made any kind of sense. Just a dream. But look now. How crazy was it when they talked about the landline? You know, you're going to pick up the phone, dial something like this here a couple of times and pick it up, and they're going to connect you with somebody. The operators at the station are going to plug you in and connect you with somebody, and you're going to be able to talk to them on this thing. This was 100-some years ago. And I'll be doggone it work. And then somebody came to mind, what do we need the lines for? What do we need to have all these operators plugging in and connecting things for? You know, why can't we just pick up something and talk on it and send a cellular signal through the air, bounce it off of towers, and let it land on another device that isn't connected to anything? And then they took it a step further and said, shoot, we're going to bounce it off of satellites. So there's no limit to what it can reach. You know how crazy that sounded when they said it? But yet here we are. Shit, baby, 5- and 6-year-olds walking around with cell phones now. Somebody had the audacity to believe that something considered impossible was possible. The question is, what are you declaring that will no longer be impossible for you? It's that simple. I'm going to get ready to get off of here. Don't forget, for those who are interested in enrolling in the Digital Business Launch Masterclass, where we're going to literally talk about how you can take your specific expertise or passion and launch a business in less than a week. And depending on where you want to scale it to, scale it. Email the email address that's at the top of the page, right under the title, the top of the page. It has my email address. You're going to be emailing me directly because I'm going to deal with each person individually and directly. If you want to enroll in that masterclass and you want to get the details, email me at that address. But whatever you do, it's time for you to step up and live the life that your design demands. It's time to live life at the level of your design. It's that simple. With that being said, as I'm going to end as I always do, live your life on full. Take advantage of every second of every day. Living your life on full means that when it's time to leave this place, you die on E. There's no greater legacy than dying on E. It means you came here and did everything your potential demanded of you. That's my challenge to you. No more excuses. No more procrastinating. No more putting it off until. There's never going to be a perfect time. You create that when you decide to take action. It's always going to be something on the table. There are always going to be obstacles and challenges and puzzles to solve. It's up to you to take action. No more excuses. With that being said, I'm out of here.